All right, welcome out everybody to Three Martini Solution podcast, episode 4. Welcome back to all of our 3 or 4 listeners, regular listeners. So, if anybody's listening to this, want to know more about Three Martini Solutions, threemartinisolution.com. On Twitter, 3_3_SOLN, and on Instagram, 3 Martini SOLN, all together. And welcome back. It's been a week. We've had a week. And Jessica was just telling us, giving us a story just before we started. Finish your story, Jessica.
And we missed you from last week.
Oh,
We should acknowledge we missed you.
No, don't worry, guys. I have some notes for you from last week in my absence. All I'm saying is I'm in a different time zone, and I've already had half a day, and you guys legit have had half a day. My brother and sister-in-law, God love them, are running a half marathon and really, really asked for some support. And they give you the whole map. I don't know how fast they run. I'm not going to try to go to this spot, try to catch them. So I'll be at the starting line to give my encouragement, right? Like I need to see you before you've even left. I'm here, really proud of you. And that started at 7 a.m. on a Sunday. This is why I don't run, folks. So of course there's a lot of Baileys in this coffee, and we're a few in. Kyle, my husband, has been ordered to get me some champagne as well. So there might be a transition later for you guys.
That's fun.
Champagne before 9 p.m. That's a great day.
Yeah.
Well, because we have a nail appointment, and you know my nail salon has a full bar, so I'm just pre-gaming, really.
Perfect. Casey, how was your week?
Good. I just had lots of work because now I'm at a convention playing board games, so that's as good as it gets for me.
Awesome.
A board game convention. So, we're familiar with this because we're going to see you in a few days there. But for anyone who doesn't know what happens at a board game convention, it's not just gaming. There's layers to it. Yeah.
There's basically one layer that 500 geeks and nerds, depending on how you identify, are going to descend on a hotel. You all sort of circulate around in comfortable clothes and are like, hi, I have this cardboard box full of bits. Do you want to sit and talk about it and have rules and do stuff? And then you're like, yeah. And so you do. And it's fun because geeks and nerds are all sorts of levels of shy or not. There's a heavy introvert quotient. And so there's things that you do to kind of bridge through that. But then there's people who, like me, are a little more extroverted. So I'm like, hi, want to be friends? And so sometimes they get a little bit nervous or whatever, but it's fun. And so you have people that you normally see like at this thing. And so you sit around and you play games and stuff. And like the one I played last night that took, because it has an app, 166 minutes, and it had like lights and sound. And yes, it was a remake of a game from the 80s. So that spoke to my heart. Yes. Did we win? Of course not. It's a cooperative thing and the monster kills you. But the point is not that. The point is because you're there with your friends and, you have something to talk about. So games is the best way to have conversations with folks because it gives you something to talk about. There's never like, oh, what are we going to talk about? Oh, this, pile of cardboard in front of us. So it's great.
All right.
I love it.
Emily, how about you?
It's good. I've just been anticipating getting there to the board game convention. Last year I was up until like 4 a.m. So it probably wasn't 4, but it was after midnight, which is basically 4:00. And playing werewolf because sometimes I really like to do the late night werewolf rounds with people. I think that's real fun. How was your week?
It was fine. It was fine. It was busy with work, busy with this, busy not knowing what I'm doing when I'm trying to edit videos and stuff. So a lot of cursing. I invented some words. So, but it was good. So Jessica, you watched the last one that you were not here for. We are glad to have you back. Give us your notes.
I'm prepared now. Yeah.
Just
to get your pens ready so that we know what exactly Jessica wants us to do.
It was important enough for me to write it down.
Start with Casey.
Just small
Should I,
little
should I
tidbits.
hide? Do I need to like hide?
No. If anything, we're closer than ever. So first of all, you start with talking about how sometimes people just hate to be hating, especially if somebody's succeeding. Correct, right? That's how you kind of started out.
Yeah.
So I really hate you guys for succeeding at an excellent podcast without me. It was really good. Gave me a complex. So, prior obligations be damned in the future.
We're
That's
trying to
never
figure
going to
out a
happen
way of
again.
saying to you, we could do this without you, so step up your game.
Pretty much.
Okay.
It's like, I think that subtle, not so subtle, guys. Then right, the beautiful segue right into celebrities, which, right out the gates, I was already pretty pissed I wasn't there, and then became very angry at all of you guys for your discussion about Tom Cruise, the monster. Disagree with all of you. He is a horrible human. You can't separate the man from the actor. And all of you need to get your Leah Remy education because you clearly don't have it. And I mean, at one point we called Scientology religion. I mean, if you hold my definition of religion, maybe, but like
I think we're using the IRS definition. Yeah.
Yeah, we're using the IRS definition. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't give him the memo that I was down here. Sorry if you hear that kid screaming, Dad. Bullying, no comment. I've always been cool. Next, the largest segment, which was eating out.
Yeah.
Very, very much felt you guys on this. I will say my favorite people to eat out with are Ryan and Em, mainly because you guys always know the good spots to go to, but I will forever and always be Ryan's poor younger sister, no matter how much money I make, so they always pick up the bill for me. Sorry if that puts you guys in a difficult spot later in life, but yeah, I don't ever recall picking up a bill with Ryan and Emily.
Oh, we should start.
Jessica, I need to interrupt you right now.
Okay.
The only reason why they are your favorite people to eat out with is because you and I have not yet gone out to eat.
We ate together at one restaurant in New York.
The Keen.
That was delicious. It was like that steak. Was it a steakhouse?
Yeah, it was called Keen Steakhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then
And that
now
was
I'm
fun.
offended. Now I'm offended that I wasn't even on your list of favorite people to eat out with.
Oh my God.
Well, if
Can
you're
I tell you,
Casey,
this is the first-
my gosh.
This is the first time I'd ever met Casey, and we're leaving that meal, like literally rolling down the street, just like stuffed to our gourd. And the most gorgeous stick figure of a girl walks past us, and he's like, she's on a delicious diet of lettuce and cocaine. And I almost peed myself. And I was like, this is my new favorite person. So I don't know if you recall that, Casey, but it really struck
First
a
impression.
chord with me. I think you guys covered everything in the eating. I will say I would absolutely pass the ice cream test. I would be getting replacement ice cream in droves because my biggest fear is to upset a server. And the only etiquette piece I would add to it is know when to ask questions. There's lots of restaurants you can go to, and the waiter is prepared and even excited to answer your questions about the food, right? Like, this gives them an opportunity. They've studied it. There are some restaurants where the waiter could give two shits. And you got to read that. And if you are in the back hills in Mountain, Colorado, and you got Wendy, who's been serving people their eggs for 30 years, she doesn't know what kind of oil it's cooked in. Okay? So you got to just know that sometimes that's okay. Other times it's not. Very fearful with people messing with my food. So I just go the extra mile for my server. That's it. That's my recap.
It's a good, healthy respect to have that for servers, a good, healthy fear, just like the ocean. I mean, they're really just like,
Yes.
You know, I threw out 2 ideas. I didn't hear anybody else throwing out any ideas, but if you have any, please let me know. But I don't know if you guys had some time to think about it, but if not, I'm going to put you on the spot now. How to make something seem fancy when it's not. Right? Okay, so hit us with it, Casey.
So it's really related to what Jessica was just talking about with restaurants, because the answer is parsley. Because I worked at a restaurant, and I worked at a restaurant that is for many, many years, corporate. It had, whatever, everything went through the fryer, all those things. And they had this motto: if it's not green, it's obscene, meaning you take whatever it is on the plate and you have to sprinkle parsley over it. And it's like, ooh, fancy, right? and the slightly higher version of that is you put a parsley sprig somewhere on the plate. It doesn't matter where.
Just
I mean,
like
you can
one.
artfully place it, but it really doesn't matter. You can actually just drop it in the middle and you're like, now it's fancy. And so that's the easiest answer. I'm not sure what else we're going to talk about, because if you want to make something fancy, you throw parsley on top.
I like that. I do have a few more things. And Casey, I think you're going to agree with me on these things, right? And when you think of fancy, you're thinking, we're thinking events, we're thinking like clothes. But for events, right, things that make it fancy, like cloth napkins, right? Immediately fancy, also kind of gross, right? Because you're depending on someone who has washed that, and you're going to be putting it on your face, right? So I mean, maybe it is not fancy after me saying that, but it is. When you go to a restaurant and they have real napkins, I think that's real nice. And if you're going to host an event, make sure they're clean. But if they're clean, it is fancy. It really steps up the event. Using like real plates if you're hosting an event, or those really nice like Chinette heavy duty plates. Those are also.
We got Chinette.
So, Emily, could you do Chinette plus cloth napkins and parsley?
You could. I think you'd have to. It's a pretty delicate balance there, because you could cheapen it real quick, like with plastic forks or sporks. If you use sporks of any kind, you're. Whew. I was thinking back to a job I had when I was in law school, and I was a law clerk, and the firm's holiday party was coming up, and I had not asked anyone what I should wear, because I think I can figure out what to wear to a holiday party. But one of the paralegals came to me and said, I just want you to know, for the holiday party, people get real dressed up, and you really want to wear, and just what she does to me, right? Sparkles. Something with sparkle. And then she proceeded to say sparkle like 24 times as she told me like places I might want to check out at the mall to get sparkle. And I really appreciated it. I remember going home and talking to you about it. And I think I did get something with a little sparkle, but that's a way to dress it up.
So
I'll
Disney,
get the glitter ears,
because it is on the fancy thing, and Jessica can relate to this. We ate at what was supposed to be the fanciest place there, and even the fanciest place there is not really that fancy. Like, if we're being real honest, I think people go there and they have a little fun. It's a good time with the kids, but fancy, maybe if you're 8.
You pay fancy prices for those.
You do pay fancy
really
prices,
fancy places, but you are getting cafeteria food.
Yeah.
And
Is that another way? Is that another way to make something fancy when it's not just jack the price up?
Yes.
That's
There you
exactly
go.
what I was thinking of. Is just
Yep.
just make it cost more, and people will assume that it has to be fancy.
Oh, can I speak one more thing about I've noticed that's become unfancy, and probably during the pandemic, is when you go into restaurants now, the menus are almost always online. You have to use the QR code. I think it's great to not kill trees, but I really miss printed menus. I like being able to hold my menu and look at it and touch it. But I think the QR code definitely makes it feel less fancy and less formal, but maybe that's supposed to make it. I don't know.
Okay.
I would have to agree.
Yeah, we need to get back to real menus. I think that we're not the only ones. I think a lot of people feel very similar about that. What's a good way to disinvite people, or deal with an uncomfortable situation when maybe you need to ask somebody to leave an event, whatnot? Has any of you even had to do that before?
I definitely had to kick people out of like parties.
Okay.
So that's kind of like disinviting them, but once they've already gone, I think disinviting before they even show up is a whole other ball to untangle. That's a little trickier.
Yeah, because if they were there at the party, they've probably done something that is a little obvious why you're asking them to leave, like you slapped an Oscar presenter or something like that. You should be asked to leave.
Right. You can tie it to a particular behavior. You punched someone, therefore you can't be here anymore, right? Not to bring it back to last week, but if it's before the event it's sort of tied into who they are. Like you're saying, hey, I have this party. It's not really fancy, but I'm trying to make it more fancy. So I sense that you're not going to wear something glittery. I need you to not come now, right? How do you have that conversation? Is that even possible?
We said we had a no kid wedding, and still a lot of people try to bring kids, and
Yes.
and I always thought that was it was quite the move, I thought, on people's part to say, oh, why, by the way, I'm going to bring my kids. And I remember there were some people that were like bringing like wanted to bring 3 or 4 kids to a no kid wedding, which was kind of a wild move, which I don't know what they were thinking. But then, of course, they were like, well, no, that's not what the thing is. And if you can't do that, then it's too bad, so sad. But I think that's been my biggest experience, having to not allow somebody to come, or just basically set down a hard rule and say, no, this is it.
I was talking with a friend about a wedding that they had gone to, and it was very important to the people who were having the wedding that the pictures look very, very good. So they had the equivalent of a wedding bouncer, and if people did not meet the dress code, they were not admitted. I may have the details a little fuzzy, but what are your thoughts?
Not admitted to the wedding, or couldn't it be part of the photos?
Not part, because there's all sorts of candid photos taking place. So it's like, hi, I have an event. It's important to me that this event has a certain look or whatever. I'm telling you this in the invitation or whatever. You will be scrutinized upon arrival. And
so that was part of the invitation, like dress to impress, or you're going to be asked to leave, or just asked to be in a place where you won't be in the photos.
I do not know the exact wording on the invitation. I don't know that, but maybe it's this equivalent of, hey, Emily, I need you to come with something glittery. If there's nothing glittery, then you will not be permitted entry. I mean, it is your day, and it's your pictures, and you're remembering. Like, do you want to be like, oh yeah, we had to crop out Casey because he showed up in his sweatpants, so we just had to kind of, or is it better just to say, Casey, we're going to catch up with you later at the after party? I don't know.
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think if it's your wedding, you do whatever you want, but then you take the good and bad consequences that come with that, and to your reputation and otherwise, because you're forever going to be known as the person that did that at your wedding. And I don't know, if you're okay with that, that's cool. You should do what you want. So I think when people RSVP'd to say they were bringing kids, even though they weren't invited, they did so out of innocence, and they probably weren't trying to be difficult. But then it made us have to have many conversations with people, even though it was clear. I can't remember what we put on the invitations, but it was clear that kids weren't invited. But
well, if the invitation, I mean, listen, I am all about etiquette, so
right.
I know a lot about it. But am I not right in saying that if the wedding invitation, I believe our wedding invitation said, I'm inviting you in like a +1, or you and a spouse or something. They're very specific. They weren't like, hey, please just let us know how many people you want to come. And the one invitations I've seen that like that do say, kids are welcome, bring your kids, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
I think disinviting people from events generally is something, I mean, most people avoid doing that, right? Disinviting someone after they've gotten an invitation is pretty rude. And I think what's more rude is whatever a guest has done if the host feels uncomfortable with the person coming, like, I mean, I guess we can think about, these last couple of years with vaccines probably led to a lot of invitations and then disinvitations when somebody maybe found out someone's vaccine status. But if you have but let's put that aside, because that's a whole issue of itself. But if you're hosting an event and there's something going on with the guests, and one person says, well, I'm not going to come if this other person's here, and they're trying to put you in a bad situation, that's bad on the guest. The guest needs to figure that out. They can either come and be offended or not come, but putting the host in the position of being the referee isn't good. The only time I can think it would be a real issue is if you're hosting a party for someone, right? You're hosting a baby shower, you're hosting a bridal shower, and then the bride has a falling out with someone, or really doesn't want her Aunt Martha to be there, and is like, oh, I didn't mean for her to be on the invite list. just
An
can you make sure
accidental
she
invite.
doesn't show up? And then I would think you gotta do something. I don't know what it is exactly. I'm a pretty direct person, so I think dealing with it with honesty is probably the best route. But you know, nobody likes you
I have a
anymore,
question.
Aunt Martha. You cannot come. I'm sorry. I'll bring you a fruit basket afterwards, but you can't come to this party.
If there's a wedding in my future, I need you to be the bouncer.
Sure.
I'm going to give you the list of criteria so that you can directly say, listen, Casey has set these parameters. I understand that you may have different ideas of what his wedding should be and what it should be like. However, it is his wedding. So this is, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll
This
print
would be
out
great.
little printouts with frequently asked questions guests may have when they get turned away, because I'm not going to waste my breath on all of them, but I will
You're
be
anticipating
prepared.
a line where you want to
Yeah.
like cut down on the time.
I'm ready, Casey.
You have been found in violation of one of these things. Please peruse it at your leisure. Since you're not going to be in the wedding, we just need you to peruse it and figure out where you've gone wrong. We can talk about it later.
That's right.
I love it.
Hey.
I love it. Well, you can get fancy and put it on nice paper.
I will, and I'll make sure to check in with people before their cars are valeted. I wouldn't want their car to be parked and then for them to have to get it and come back. So I'm already thinking about placement. I'm ready.
Before they get the free drinks, before they hit the bar and get the free drinks,
Oh, yeah.
you gotta just get them out of there. If we're paying per drink, get them out of there. Well, I have to say, since we're talking about our wedding and when that happened, your bridesmaids did a lot of the disinviting. That's who we should have had on here to talk about that.
I
Because
had great bridesmaids. My friends are great.
Okay, we're back. We had to take a short break so Jessica can get her champagne for Sunday morning. It's like a half mimosa. Right.
Right. It's not even Easter yet, guys.
Well,
Is that your toast to start Holy Week?
Yep. Better believe it.
I was telling Casey that, Casey, at your wedding, if people show up and they're not appropriately dressed, we should have extra things there for them. People flourishes.
people flourishes.
That's what Jessica mentioned. A little parsley for their outfits.
I think it's a beautiful
Extra jackets
idea.
for the guys. We can get
Very
some of those
inclusive.
fancy ties. There's some really those fancy little bow ties, because sometimes just putting a bow tie on it just can solve a problem.
Yeah.
You know how you hire different things for the wedding? I have this idea. Like, you hire the food consultant, you hire whatever, like, hire a costume department, and you're like, hi, welcome. We have some things to do here. All right. And you would send people through different doors. Like, some people might need just a little flourish, a little accessory or whatever. Some people might need a jacket or a tie. Some people, you just might need to start from the ground up and be like, look,
Ooh.
part of our gift to you for showing up to this wedding, we're going to do a makeover. It's going to be so fun.
They have a background as a stylist. So when that girl walks in with a white dress, they could be like, sorry, no, come on over. We have lots of options for you. Or like, no, you really should have worn a bra with that dress. Let me help you. Come on over.
You should have worn a bra with
I
that.
I think it's as good as a gift bag. If I knew that there was a filter before I walked into an event that could just put that nice little touch on it, the people garnish, we should take that and run with it. I feel like we got something really good there.
You know, most people don't have like the budget to be like, everything's important, so I'm going to do like a royal wedding, right? So then you have all the people doing all the things, whatever. So if great pictures are your thing, then you could be like, look, we're gonna have everyone show up in their sweatpants. We're gonna have stuff, and we're gonna fit you and make you over, and it is going to be so much fun. And if you don't like that sort of event, then don't come, and we'll catch up later in our sweatpants at at Fridays or something. But if you do want to come have this great event, show up. We will make you over. It's going to be like that. That would be the party. Like, that would be the event.
You could book in that and
Go to
get
a
the
wedding,
photographer who knows how to Photoshop. So like, take a few pounds off me. That's good too. Like, we bookend the event with making sure we got something to work with in the photos, but then Photoshop's
Why
a
are we
thing.
even getting married
Like,
then at
I
this
mean, it's
point?
just-
Like, this is just like a good idea.
Just a party.
Just like, okay,
Makeover party.
The justice of the peace. Okay, they married us. Now
Ooh.
let's get together and make it look like it was an amazing party.
Yeah, we're gonna have to workshop this a little bit. But
Yeah.
we
I
have
think it sounds like we want to have.
Okay, yet again, another reason not to bring your kids to it. It's so obvious.
The fun weddings you don't want to bring your kids to, right? It's the other ones that you're like, oh, it's not worth getting a sitter. Let's take them if they're invited, right?
Yeah. Or why you might get disinvited to something is because you have a shitty
for
kid,
sure.
right? That could be, even if you're cool, that could be a clear disinvite list. And if I really think of the times I've disinvited people, if I'm not direct I think of the most ridiculous lie ever. And it's also why I don't have a social media account, because that's when it comes back to sneak up and get you. You can lie to disinvite somebody as long as you're not like posting your event out there for all
you can't
to
tell the
see.
truth somewhere else if you're gonna lie about it. Yeah, one or the other.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well, there's I think especially something like a wedding, there's like in the wedding party kind of friends, and then there's just a guest. Like if you're a friend and you're not in the wedding party, you're not a wedding party. You're not that kind of friend, right? Does that make sense?
I don't know if I follow.
All right. It's like you have a group of friends, and then you're going to ask some people to be in your wedding party. Those are your close friends. Those are the people that have access to you. Then there's another tier of friends, which you're still friends with, but you're not going to put them in the wedding party. It's a hard pill to swallow if you're in that group, but you got to realize,
that's the best group to be in. You have no obligations. You can show up. I love being in that group.
I personally,
Yes,
I do as well.
too.
I think it's great.
It's a bummer because you might be in Casey's wedding. No pressure, Casey. If that happens, I think you give him a big list of duties.
If Casey really wants to be my friend, he'll put me in the second tier group, where it's like, I know you're going to screw things up, so I don't trust you on my wedding day. And on your wedding day, you're not a friend, you're an invited guest.
For me, if I'm choosing, it's all second tier. There is no first tier except for me.
There's no room in the first tier.
So anyway, back to the story that I really liked the wedding. It was a friend that was getting married in California, showed up, and they had like a 2-day wedding. And so the reception piece, they just had it show up they had a schedule. They're like, you're going to show up, you're going to walk in, we're going to have tables and things are going to be happening. There is no receiving line. And so because they didn't have a wedding party, you just had to show up and to go to a table. And then the couple would just walk around and talk to the people at the tables. But they were also so scheduled that they're like, if you're not here by such and such a time, we're leaving. You're welcome to stay and enjoy the food and the whatever, but we're leaving. And it was like clockwork. It was just, which was great because then there was no line stopping things. It was just, it was the pressure was like down, and it was a great party, and they were able to talk to whoever they talked to, right. And they could have short conversations with people they didn't want to talk to.
One
right?
thing that Casey,
anyway, that would have been my head of great.
One thing Casey mentioned that I think does make things fancy is a schedule. If people think that you have it planned out, they're like, oh.
Someone's in control.
Follow the
Somebody's
schedule.
in control. Somebody's thought about this. I better not screw it up. At least hopefully that's what they're thinking. And that makes it seem way more fancy. And you could have not thought about it at all. You could have just put stuff randomly up there. And then if you deviate from it, you could be just like, oh yeah, circumstances are, we're going to switch things around just because of something that happened. So you can make your event look way more fancy.
Except for when the ceremony goes on too long, right? If you said reception starts here, and we're still listening to the back and forth from you two up there, and it's hot.
Yeah.
See,
I might duck out, because I'm going to follow that schedule.
This is great wedding advice. I think that this is just a wedding advice podcast. So I think you give. Hey, I know families are families, but I would say to the preacher, we need to be in and out of there in 20 minutes. Don't go on and on. I know you got some fancy speech about, love, and you're going to read something from the Bible or something. I don't know, just get to the point. We want to say our dues and get to cocktail hour.
I think coordinator is super helpful because they get to be the bad person. I think you and I would be great wedding coordinators, and we could just be
wear that badge.
I'm sorry, preacher person.
Yeah.
Time is up. We're moving to the next. It's mouse time.
We know a lot of this is just for show.
Tell
We've
that
already
flower
signed the
girl to
paperwork.
pick it
buddy.
up.
Come on. This is not about you. Let's go.
So that's what we did. We made it quick and simple in the morning. Let's get in there. Let's get out. Got a cager waiting for us later. And that's how we roll with cars. Reception line for us. Ryan and Em were a big help in my wedding. I think you were actually my only family members to come to the cake.
Oh, afterwards at the place.
The
Yeah, that
luau
was fun.
caker.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of them in out.
You had a great wedding. You know what's interesting is, you know, we're on our first marriages, right? We're on our first marriage. Jessica, you're on your first. Casey,
Unless
to be
you have something
determined.
to tell me, yes.
Yep.
So far, number one. But if I were to like,
Oh.
if we were to redo our wedding, get married again, I wouldn't want to do any of the stuff, any of the traditional stuff. I don't think ever.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd elope.
Yeah, I'd want to have a party for
Heart
fun
and
people.
hands
Whether some of them may be my friends, like some may not, but fun people who are just going to be fun to be around,
Yeah.
who have good energy, and you know
Right.
that you can just have a good time with, have some good food, and not worry about all the formalities and all the nonsense that goes in. Because the gifts aren't worth all of that. Like in
100%.
society, we put these social pressures and parameters, and we're
Right.
talking about like getting fancy for the wedding and stuff. But like doing it again, just have your own vibe, your own energy. And I'm envious of people that have that figured out the first time. And I'm like, wow, that
Yeah.
looks great. And like it was about you and your cohort and everyone being happy for each other.
Yeah.
Instead of caring about instead of using it as like a reason to be snarky, right?
Weddings are something you theoretically do like once. And so what things do you do once that you do well?
True.
Like
Right.
zero.
That's so true, Casey.
Yeah.
I wish someone would have taken it out of my
Excellent
hands
point.
at that point and said, oh, you're a first timer. You don't even get to plan it. Tell me your favorite people, your favorite food, your favorite temperature you like the air to be at, and I'll be your planner, and I'm just going to make it happen. So you're going to have a good time, and you're not going to worry about how the invitations are worded and what it says on your registry. It's just going to be a good party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
I wish somebody gave me like a stack of cash that showed me how expensive it was going to be and be like, you could do that, or you could just have this. I would have taken that money hands down, easy peasy, instantly.
Yeah.
Can I tell you just the best memory from my wedding? And you'll appreciate this so much, Ryan, for knowing my mother in the way I do. The one thing I remember from my wedding is walking in from the ceremony. She made my wedding dress. It was gorgeous. It's what I wanted. It was really pretty, but it had like a high empire waist. The first thing she said to me as we got back from getting married was, Jessica, everyone thinks you're pregnant. Like, shoot me now. Get me the hell out of this
Yeah.
hellhole.
And you're like, Mom,
So
do you know
that's
how much
mine.
money we just spent on an event we're not having fun at because you didn't want anyone to drink here? And so we're going to have fun later. But
You made this dress. You made the dress.
Pat,
The dress you made me makes me look pregnant. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm in my 20s, Mom. I'm never gonna look this good. Damn you.
these kinds of things are why Jessica's drinking
Now I'm right back.
champagne
We gotta move on from weddings. We gotta move on from weddings.
at 9:30 on a Sunday
morning.
morning. That's right. We love you. You're beautiful. Have a great day, guys. Love you.
All right. Bye.
You too.
Bye.